Met. Okay, so welcome everyone. So I'm Neeraj Mangal. I'm taking up the today's OpenWhisk internal interchange call. I think there are no new attendees, so we can skip that part. And agenda for today is I haven't received any specific topics, so mostly we will be talking about the PRs and some of the topics which are being discussed on dive list. So if we talk about the major updates on the PR, so after the graduation, so in each and every repo, Matt and Rigos has removed the incubator references and disclaimer from various repos. This is, I think, now has been done for all 28 repos. On the core repo, these are the issues which are being merged and created. And so, do you want to talk about these specifically? Any of these? Okay. So, I think this is one of the issue which is being also discussed on the dev list for recording the metadata related to the activation. So I think
yeah, there's been some discussion on the list. I don't know that. I think Chetan has I haven't looked at the PR to see exactly what version of the discussion has been included in the PR.
okay.
I think this is the simplest version where there's no change to the activation record, and there's no correlation between transaction ID and activation ID. All this is doing is passing in the transaction ID into the runtime. So the other pieces would have to come separate.
Okay. And another PR is related to the user events. So I think this is a separate service which is being deployed to have the subscription to the Kafka topics so that we can publish those events to Prometheus and Datadog via Camon. So I think this is under review already by Chetan. Okay. And
that one would need to be reviewed by someone else. Once basic things are done, Cosman would yeah. We'll check on the mail thread and see who would like to review this.
okay. And any other issues which we want to talk about apart from these in the core repo, which I missed or not included in this list?
I know that Pretty and I talked about the passing the parameters on init. So the only two things that came up when we discussed it were, one is, I don't know if Pretty had time to comment, she was intending to, but we wanted to have a if that was true, that people wanted that functionality, that we needed to have some type of flag that would tell us on the init data that that was happening. Otherwise, we couldn't support that functionality in Knative. And two, I want to get clarity on prefixing, because we already prefixed all the existing environment variables. So, I mean, all existing parameters, environment variables. So, I understand why this is being requested, but I think that we need to definitively answer once and for all what's reserved, and you know, are we going to keep sticking, you know, variables in umpteen different places? So we need to know what's reserved and what's not reserved. And for Knative, you know, it's easy to create. You know, we do support unprefixed variables as a matter of course, because Knative has that as part of their service YAML. But we want to have it resolved once for all, how we separate those things. User space from system container space. So hopefully we'll have that discussion and resolve it. But we're not opposed to having it. So I don't know what Tyson thought. I know you had some thoughts early on.
Yeah, I'm not sure how far this PR goes as far as the use of environment variables and changing the signatures and things like that.
I read it as just an addition to that. Basically, it's just the only thought I saw was we need to have that option, and we just shove them in the environment. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the container level settings, and then there's the activation level pieces that are sent. And yeah, I mean, I think it's, you know, it's confusing because right now those are treated the same. And I think, yeah, I don't know the best way to deal with that. I think, I mean, maybe the most graceful thing to do is to like split those up first, and then, you know, potentially change the signature. But I mean, all of this kind of comes into changing the signature of, I mean, in my mind, it means changing the signature of the run endpoint.
Yeah.
So we pass them explicitly and separately.
Yep. I see us eventually, though. I mean, you know, we have to support a single endpoint. I mean, that's where, you know, Knative is at. A lot of, if you want a container-based solution, a container as a workload, they're going to expect a single entry point. So, anyways. Well, I'll see if we can finish commenting on it. But I just like it spelled out once for all. I mean, I want the contract spelled out at run and at init definitively. That's all I really want.
Yeah, understood.
All right, thanks.
Okay. There is one more discussion is going on onto the dev list, which is related to the process to release and Apache OpenWhisk repo. I think Chetan has created a PR for that, um, which is related to this publish OpenWhisk artifact to Maven.
Yeah, so there's still no PR on that. first step was to
sorry.
update Gradle, but next step is to add, yes, Maven publish support, which would take some time. It needs some Gradle way to do some things. Would have to figure it out. But,
Okay.
yeah. There was another PR to, for now, publish it as part of the GitHub download page, but I think David has some concerns, so that PR is pending and still there. So we have to figure out and probably work on release of the core repo.
Okay. Okay, so these are the issues on the man repo. And there are a couple of issues on other repos, like in API Gateway. But I think these are not that much of critical ones. Any other specific PR which I have been missed or you want to discuss about?
Yeah, I mean, as long as Chetan's here, and if you don't mind, I had a question. I put in chat. There's a pull request on the Java runtime, pull request 74, and because I've been looking at the JVM settings that we've been using, and it looks like this is like supposed to fix issue 5, which is we don't set an explicit heap size on the JVM, so it could lead to unintended consequences. And I think on the issue number 5 that's referenced here, it spells out the problem. And I know it looks like Roderick indicated it looked like it was a credible fix, but nothing ever became of it. So I don't know if Chetan, if you had, with your Java experience, you had any thoughts on this. I tried to rebuild it this morning. It's not building. I can look at it's failing on the action loop proxy, but it looks like Java people are going to be hitting errors or what have been historically, and this should fix it in theory, or something like it should fix it. But we just stopped it. We stopped using it. We never took it to completion. So it looks in the C group to determine how much memory is actually allocated, and basically uses that and tries to use that and declares an explicit heap size. So I don't know. I mean, I'd appreciate if you could look at it, Chetan.
Yeah, I would have a look this week on that.
Because the issue number 5, that the error condition still is true. So.
Yeah, because from my thought, the latest OpenJDK, they honor the C group limit. It's just that, yeah, would have a look at what the PR wants to do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, thanks.
Okay, so there are no other major updates to other repos. I think we already discussed about this and this as well for the dev list discussions.
Yep.
So Chetan, do you want to add something about this metadata related activation stuff which is going on to dev list?
Yeah, so there are two parts. One is passing the transaction ID, which I think Tyson commented on once I joined the call. So that part was the initial target to enable to stitch together activations in a sequence or compositions. So passing the transaction ID was required. So there's a PR for that. So that's a small change. This is a subsequent discussion where we want to also store the transaction ID in as part of activation record itself, so that later if any operator want create indexes in DB, they can do some query around that and say, okay, which all activations are part of a given transaction. So it is a broader context where in some cases I have felt a need to record some more metadata, like if I'm integrating with AWS Lambda or Azure Function, uh, I would like to record the invocation ID uh, for the given activation, so that later if the logs needs to be fetched, I can fetch the logs. Or like in Kubernetes, maybe the pod name I would like to record, so that if I have to correlate any debugging purpose. So those metadata are mostly meant for operators and are not leaving the transaction ID. The other metadata that I've mentioned are not meant for end users. And as Dominic mentioned on the mail, that we would probably have to think of, just record them but not expose them. So that's first part. But then second part is how to store them. So currently, we store such metadata as form of annotations, which are more like array, uh, which can be done, but then they pose a problem where if you want to index such properties, you can't index them because easily. Like it's possible to do it on Couch because you can programmatically extract the ID and make it part of the view, but on any other DB it becomes very tricky. So that's why the discussion was on, should we introduce a new subfield like metadata within the activation and store such IDs there. So that is the thread all about. First is recording them, which I think we have a consensus. Yes, they are useful. Second is how to store them, whether we just push them as annotations and probably filter them out, or we create a new subfield.
Yeah, well, for eventing solutions, what we've done in the past is we create a field that allows you to create arrays or lists of URIs. So URIs are conducive to indexing and search. So we had one field that would support tagging. It's basically a tagging mechanism. So you tag with URIs. So your URI would define the domain, the specification of the identifier, and it would also be inclusive of the identifier itself. So that's what I would like to see, because we have a lot of things we stuck in annotations as well. We'd love to surface. And I think that having a uniform way to do these things, and if we're going to change it once, create a single key that allow for an extension mechanism, for different sets of identifiers for different views.
Yeah, so that maybe we can probably then make them as a flat dictionary instead of an array of annotations, and then just to support backward compatibility for top level tooling, while we send activation record back to the user, maybe we retain the array format, but at the DB level we store them as flat keys. That can be one possibility we can do.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone wants different views, and you need a place for doing those things, either for transactions, for whatever. Correlation IDs for audit purposes, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So Matt, do share your thoughts on the mailing list, and then we can see if we do it like retain the end level view, but modify the DP level thing, and ensuring we are compatible in whatever form we have to do. Probably that maybe one way, but yeah.
I have something to cut and paste from another standard. Yeah.
Okay. So if we don't have any other issues to discuss or topics to discuss, then we can have the next moderator for the next call.
Well, the pickings are slim. I think it's either Tyson or myself.
I can do it.
Okay, thanks, Tyson.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for joining the call.
Hopefully we'll get more people once summer's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.